you want to be able to see your drawing, but maybe you don't want your drawing showing that much through your painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and I'm going to go over the darker parts of her face, and I'm going to lift some of this stuff up, especially around her eyes, her nose, and her mouth. I don't really want the pencil marks showing. Now, most of the time, if I'm doing most portraits, men portraits or whoever, whatever, I don't care so much if the pencil shows through. But for a woman, if I'm going for something really soft and beautiful, pencil marks could ruin it.
But where you had like dark lashes and dark eyebrows,
those are going to end up being dark anyway, right?
Yeah, so you could have really left that.
I could leave it, but I would rather you see mostly paint in this regard than graphite. But I want you to understand, if you don't pick up your graphite, and you go over it with water. Now here's the other thing. If there's a lot of graphite on there and you go over it with water, you could smear that graphite. And it could smear in a direction that would be very detrimental to you, that you can't do anything about. You can't magic eraser it out. You can't do anything with it. So you got to be careful with that. We do not want, and so that's why I don't leave a heavy coat of pencil marks, especially on portraits. On landscapes or other things, I'm not so worried about it. Okay. But on portraits, I am concerned about it. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to wet her face. And I got blue on her face already. Look at that. Because I didn't properly clean out my brush. That's okay. I'm okay with a little blue. It's okay to even have a blue tinge because guess what? Your skin has blue in it.
So
the colors.
You're going over everything. Lips.
I'm going over everything.
All skin, not hair though.
Okay. Now, I should have probably gone around her eyes. I'm going, and you can see where when I did get down here, I picked up some of the graphite and started moving it around. It would have been better had I not gone into the eyes because I don't really want the white of her eyes getting painted right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna go in and dry that enough to where it won't suck the color in. I'm gonna go back over this one more time, and I don't care if I get into the hair a little bit. I'm okay with that. I want to get, and to be honest, I'm already adding some pigment. It's blue, and I'm okay with that. It's a little bit of an underpainting, but that's okay. Blue's okay.
So you're not worried about the background at all?
I'm not worried about the background at all. I'm painting right over it. In fact, I want to go over, because in this case for her, look how dark her hair is.
Yeah,
Right.
It's dark.
Now, if she was blonde, we'd be worried, huh?
Well, not at this point.
No,
I mean,
okay.
but I would want to be careful. Okay.
Her hair is going to take up most of the background on it.
Correct. So now I'm going in with some yellow ochre. I'm also adding in just a tinge of blue. The green is okay in a portrait. You do have green skin where your capillaries are close to the surface of your skin. I am going to go in with mostly yellow. I'm really taking this down. I'm also going to create a spot over here, and I want some space for a little bit of red orange. A little bit of red orange. So I'm going to mix myself. Yellow ochre.
Yellow.
So I'm going with a little tiny bit, and I got too much, but I'm going with a little bit of alizarin crimson, and I'm really I want it to go down a little bit. I don't want a whole lot of it there. Now, I can spike up my yellow ochre with a little bit of burnt sienna.
Oh, okay.
I can push a little bit of any kind of orange I want into it. Like I could throw in a little New Gamboge, or I could throw in a little bit of like, be careful with like Naples yellow or something. You could yellow it up too much. All right. So, but for Caucasians, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of burnt sienna, tap in just a tad of blue here and there, a tad of alizarin crimson. That's really all you need. Don't need anything else. So now I got her wet, and I've been talking so long, she's probably not wet anymore. So now, this is my yellow brush, and that's almost the level of skin coat tones I wanted. So I'm just starting with what I had on that brush. Look at that. I could go right over her lips. I could go right down her neck. This is almost perfect. I'm going to start off with a little bit of, not too much. And I really don't, the angle's a little too much because all my pigment's washing out. I don't want it to wash out too much, so I'm coming up on my level a little bit. I'll pick that up. I don't want too much of that out there. All right. Now, I'm starting to look on her left side of her face is where she's the lightest. On her right side of her face, she's a little bit darker. So I'm going in and I'm going to add a little bit more pigment to the right side of her face. And this is just, for the most part, yellow ochre.
So it's just the same pigment, but another layer.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's really not a little, I mean, this is all still wet wash.
Right.
So I'm just adding a little bit more pigment to this side of her face. And you'll notice her neck is a little bit darker, so I'm going to go in a little bit here. And so the next thing I can do is, as it starts drying a little bit, I can start lifting up some pigment where I'm going to want it less. So if I come over here and I pick up some pigment off of her forehead, look at that. If I pick up some pigment off of the bridge of her nose, look how big a brush I'm using.
It's huge.
If I pick up some pigment off of her nose itself, right here on her cheek, wow, look at that. Already seeing a face emerge. I'm going to come in here and give her a little bit of an upper lip. Come in here and give her a little bit of an upper lip there. She's got a little bit of a... So I'm just picking up pigment. All I'm doing. And look how soft it is. Keeping everything nice and big and wet and soft. Now I'm going to come back with this other brush and I'm going to go back in and give, whoa, too much. It's okay.
What is that you put down? Is that yellow or?
It's yellow ochre. Now I'm mixing in a little bit of alizarin crimson.
Oh.
And I'm coming over on this side. And I'm going to do a little bit of alizarin crimson over here. I want a thirsty brush. I'm going to just take some pigment and out of this and make a thirsty brush. Picking up pigment right there. You want to be careful not to press too hard and scratch your paper because you can do that. But you can see, okay, where I'm looking over here and I'm seeing more alizarin crimson over here in her cheek. A little bit more around her eye.
Terry, your paper looks a lot darker than what?
Yeah, we're getting a shadow. I mean, you're getting a. It's because of the glare.
Oh, nice.
Now this is just the first layer, and to be honest, you know, we're probably gonna do 2 or 3 layers, but this is the first. So I want to lift some of that out.
What risk do you run if you do it darker?
I mean, I could go darker, and I, you know, I don't mind going a little bit darker than this. There's the risk is it gets once you've gone. So the downside to watercolor is, especially on a really smooth transition like this.
This is smooth paper too, correct?
No, this is rough.
Is it?
Yeah, this is not rough. It's just cold press.
Normally, don't they do portraits on hot press?
No,
No?
I never do anything on hot press.
The downside is what?
So once you go too dark, you can't come back. You can't come back. You can't get it back.
Look like somebody smacked
This will just be like you've been makeup on a person.
her. Really? Actually.
Not far off.
All that blended and stuff.
So you can see I'm just going through the process of adding a little more pigment, smoothing it out, making it transition a little bit. That's all I'm really doing.
Is your paper dry now or?
No, it's still wet. It's still diffusing out pretty well.
Do you like hit it with spray when it starts to dry?
I'm going in and adding more alizarin crimson here. And yes, sometimes I do that. Go in and spray it. I really don't want it to be quite that. So I'm going to go in and pick some of this up. And see, I've got blue on that. That's causing me problems.
Yeah.
So in this case, I'm literally using a paper towel to soften up an edge and create a gradation. Now this isn't, I'm not going for a final thing here. I am literally just getting close to my my first values. That's all I'm doing. And I'm establishing where my skin tones. That is about all I would do for a first. Taking off that hard edge. And it's too dry now to go back into it too much. So I'm just gonna soften those edges up a little bit. Leave it alone.
And you're not worried about the outside edges?
No.
Because his hair, he's gonna go darker.
The hair, the neck, any of the outside edges?
No, not yet. Okay, we'll let it dry. Keep messing with it, don't it? Okay, that's first layer.
And your paint consistency was
Oh, that was tea. It was serious tea. It was probably not even tea. And so I'm starting to develop a little bit of a line I don't like. So I'm going to go in, I want a clean paper towel, and I'm going to touch the edge here a little bit and make sure that I don't end up with a blossom or a backwash. I'd rather pick up a little pigment that I can go smooth out later than, and I do have a little tick mark or two of blue that I hit this with, so I'm going to pick that up after this dries.